Very important radio broadcast lined up for you today on this Sunday, the 6th day of September 2009. We got 2 hours laying out before us. I do this abbreviated transmission every Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern. And, of course, 3 to 5 Mountain, 2 to 4 Pacific. Thank you so much for joining us today. Okay, let me tell you what's on our plate. It's going to be fast-moving, very important radio show today, so please call your friends and family, whether you're listening on AM, FM, shortwave, satellite, internet, you name it. Please tell your friends and family to tune in now. Coming up, the most important developments in the last 9 months that we've been tracking this government-run flu hoax. Remember, long before April, I went on air in January, in February, especially on March 5th, did 4 hours on my weekday show saying they're going to stage some type of flu event. I had emergency managers on the show, journalists on the show. I mean, we had the intel. We told you then in April we were really at level 6. 4 months later, the media admitted, okay, we were really at level 6 already under UN control. So you need to listen to us when we break this down, the information we're about to cover. We know what we're talking about. This is directly from the World Health Organization, hidden in plain view. This came out Friday evening. This came out in plain view, and this is even being mentioned in the mainstream media, but as minor footnotes like it's no big deal. Now, if you're a PrisonPlanet.tv member, we also simulcast the radio show as a /TV show. And if you're not a PrisonPlanet.tv member and don't watch the show live, don't worry. It always gets ripped to the 4 winds all over the internet, which we love. I want to thank all the folks out there doing that, but especially the PrisonPlanet.tv members, because it's one thing for people to hear this on the radio and not go to Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com, where we post everything we talk about on the radio show every day, so you can read along with us. Even if you're not a PrisonPlanet.tv viewer, you can go to the site and read all these documents. But for people watching, they get to see the documents. So here is the World Health Organization document. Right here, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to be going over this. It is Safety of Pandemic Vaccines, Pandemic H1N1 2009, Briefing Note 6. And this came out way back August 6th. It took us about 27, 28 days to find this. Again, and it's listeners that pointed this out. It's people that found this information. Just like in the healthcare bill, there's an implantable microchip section. Jason Berman showed me that 2 weeks ago in the office, and I kind of rolled my eyes and forgot about it. And then it's mainstream ABC News last week. The point is, don't think we're noticing and seeing all this. It's you giving us the tips that allow us to ferret this out. What am I talking about? What is this new United Nations document? Who admits to releasing pandemic viruses into population via mock-up viruses? Now, remember back in April, having different medical doctors on, Tenpenny and a bunch of other people. Quite frankly, I can't even remember which one it was that said it. But they said there's a good chance, was it Steve Quayle? I forget, that this is a simulant weakened virus they've released and that they're tracking the spread of it and that the government is doing this to, quote, give people an immunity to a weaponized swine flu down the road. That was kind of the angle being put out by people that were trying to be devil's advocate, because clearly, this is the key. The flu virus, the H1N1, part human, part pig, part bird, was clearly manufactured in a lab. I mean, that's been admitted in the BBC and Reuters, and top virologists are on record. So then why were they hyping it up and freaking out like it was the end of the world in April? Why have they been making secret preparations in January and February for mass graves, crematoriums, martial law, Homeland Security, Brigade, Homeland? Now they want 400,000 troops on the streets of America. The Hill newspaper and the Progressive are both reporting. In fact, here's that article on the 400,000 troops. Got that for people. Pentagon wants authority to post almost 400,000 military personnel in the U.S. That's from the Progressive. Why did we see all this big preparation for something that hadn't even showed up yet? Then exactly what they said was going to show up shows up. The virologists look at it under electron microscopes and say, this was made in a lab. But then we notice it's not killing that many people. And then folks noticed in the patents issued by several big vaccine makers, they mentioned virus simulants or weakened viruses. And then now the WHO is saying these were released. And they just make this announcement like they're talking about the price of gasoline or the price of milk or the price of natural gas. I mean, they're just announcing it real calmly like it's some boring stat when this is a huge development. We know this was manufactured. So if it starts killing a bunch of people or the vaccine starts killing a bunch of people, this is an inside job. Now, we don't know. We don't know this is a cover for the federalization and internationalization and the UN directing all the nations of the planet, a big beta test for world government. I mean, the UN admits they're using it for that and say it's a great day for globalization and global governance. But the question is, does it stop there? I don't know. You can't look into the future and tell exactly what's going to happen. I mean, it's bad enough they're making tens of billions off these vaccines. It's bad enough that it has mercury in it, and they're admitting it does. It's bad enough that it has the accelerants, the chemicals in it that cause an autoimmune response that are triggering diabetes, brain damage, autism. I had a brain surgeon, top neurologist on for an hour and 45 minutes Friday, Dr. Blaylock, breaking down. I mean, the medical literature, the terms were discovered by him in the last 20 years. I mean, this is like the brainiac that all of the brain experts and the experts on Alzheimer's being a chronic inflammation of the brain. They know it's MSG. They know it's aspartame. They know it's the mercury in the shots. And they know that once you take enough of this stuff, that's it. You're going to have brain inflammation. I mean, that's why these Alzheimer patients fade in and out. It's the inflammation. But look, and the government's not going to tell you this, folks. They did it to you. It's a chemical weapon, a cocktail of chemical weapons. Regardless, I'm digressing. We know that it's a staged vaccine. We know all the fear-mongering is staged. And then I've got AOL News, AP, swine flu sickens 2,000 at one university alone. Ladies and gentlemen, this came out Friday. More than 2,000 students at Washington State University have come down with swine flu symptoms in just the first week of classes, school officials said Friday. So if this is a foreshadowing of 18,500 students, and you've got more than 1%, 1 out of 10, 2,000 out of 18,500 is more than 1 out of 10 or more than 10%. With it, this is going to be a massive flu season. And we know it's manufactured. That's not debated. Now, what to make of this? I don't know. I mean, we're looking at the pieces, but there's only a few more pieces to put in place here, and it isn't looking good. So let me just go over this for you. This is from Dr. Marcola, Marcola.com. We also have the Health Ranger with their news, Natural News, and direct links to the World Health Organization. There's also a detailed report out of global research we got up on Infowars.com right now. WHO admits to releasing pandemic virus into population via mock-up vaccines. The document on the WHO website, link below, states that it is common procedure to release pandemic viruses into the population in order to get a jump ahead of the real pandemic, as so to fast-track the vaccine when it's needed. Now we're going to read this article, read what the UN says, tie this in with all the other areas. Then we're getting into the youth brigade, the president's speech, the psyop there to the kids, 9/11, all the debunking they're going on of 9/11 truth, what's really behind that. Very important radio show lined up today. Richard Gage coming up next hour, and I'm going to foreshadow. Hello, friends. This is Alex.